Myself Padmaja, Associate Professor, Department of CAC, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. In this video, let us discuss about a number of programs using different data types in Python. So let us start with the list data type, and followed by we will execute a number of problems using the different patterns that we have to print. So let us start with the list data type. Now, list is one of the most popular data structure in Python, where we can store a heterogeneous collection of data items in a list within square brackets. So lists are represented using the square brackets. Now, the list items are ordered, so indexing mechanism can be used. So the first item can be accessed using the index number 0, then 1, and so on. So index numbers, the items are ordered using indexing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And one of the important property of list is it is mutable nature, that is changeable. If you want to add some items or delete some items from a list, it is allowed, and it also allows you duplicate values. So these three important parameters you have to keep in mind. One is called ordered, second one is called it is mutable, and third one is it allows you duplicate values also. And the within a list within list, or a nested list also you can write. So let us switch over to your ideal and let us execute a number of programs using Python. Now, in the first program, let us discuss about, we will read one square matrix and find out the absolute difference of its diagonals. So let us write down the question. Given a square matrix, find the absolute difference between the sum of its diagonals. Now, suppose the square matrix, how to represent. First thing is you have to understand how to represent a square matrix. In Python, to represent a square matrix, we have to take list within list, that is called a nested list. So, we have to write like this. Suppose the elements of the first row are 1, 2, 3. Elements of the second row are 4, 5, and 6. And the elements of third row are suppose 9, 8, and 9. So, list within list we have to write, which will treat it as a square matrix. Now, it is a 3 by 3 matrix. So, this is a matrix of 3 by 3 dimension, where 1, 2, 3 is the 0th row, first row is 4, 5, 6, and the second row is 9, 8, 9. Now, in every row, again the columns are 0, 1, 2. So, it is a 3 by 3 matrix. 3 by 3 matrix. So, you can take any dimension of the matrix, and we have to find out the absolute difference of its squares. So what do you mean by absolute difference here? So here left to right diagonal and right to left diagonal sum, we have to find it out, and then we have to subtract. So let us find out the left to right diagonal. Left to right diagonal sum is nothing but 1 plus 5 plus 9. So, which is nothing but your sum is 15. Similarly, we have to compute right to left diagonal matrix, right to left diagonal sum, which is nothing but 3 plus 5 plus 9, which is 17. Okay. Now, after computation of these two things, we have to find out the absolute difference. So, for finding the absolute difference, there is a built-in function in Python in math library that is called ABS function. So, which is nothing but we will find like this, that is 15 minus 17. So, the absolute difference is 2. So, this is the question that you have to answer in Python. So, first of all, we should understand how to read a matrix. Then, we will think of how to find out the left to right diagonal sum and right to left diagonal sum. After finding the sum, then we will think of how to find out the absolute difference by using the built-in ABS function. So, as the built-in ABS function is available in math library, so first let us import math. So, math library we are importing. Okay. Now, first of all, we'll ask the user that how many dimensional matrix a user wants to read. So, n is nothing but we are going to read the dimension of the matrix. So, dimension of the matrix. So, how many dimensional matrix you want to read? Right. Now, after that, let us take a matrix which is initially empty. So, this is nothing but it is an empty array. Or you call it as a empty list. Okay. So, matrix is nothing but list within list. So, we will think of how to read each row of the matrix which is a list and how to append it to the current matrix. So, initially you have taken it is an empty list or empty array. Okay. Now, let us read the rows. So, for I in range of n, that means we are going to read 3 rows. So, using range function, the n value is suppose 3. It is a 3 by 3 matrix suppose. Then, n value, the I value will be 0, 1 and 2. So, that means this for loop is going to run 3 times. Right. So, what we are going to do, we are going to append each row. So, let us write the built-in append method. So, before appending, we have to create the list. So, let us write down the built-in list method and how to create a list by reading 3 values and we have to make it as a list and then you have to append to the matrix. So, let us write the built-in map function and we are going to write integer values. So, we'll write input function dot split, input method dot split method. Right. So, how this is working? First of all, suppose you are giving 3 inputs 1, 2, 3 as the input, then that is treated to be a string. So, that string will be splitted into your string 1, string 2 and string 3. Then it is converted into integer as you have written int. So, after converting into numbers 1, 2 and 3, then it is mapped into a list. So, it becomes within square bracket you will find 1, 2, 3 is a row. That row will be appended to the matrix mat. So, this way this for loop is going to read 3 times and it is you are constructing one row of the matrix and then you are appending to the matrix. So, hope it is clear. So, within a single line, we are reading the list row wise, that is we are reading one row of the list, that is one row of the matrix also we can say. Now, let us move on to checking that how to find out the left to right diagonal sum and right to left diagonal sum. So, for that reason, let us take a variable initially your I is equal to 0 and we have to compute 2 different sums. So, let us take sum 1 is equal to 0 and sum 2 is also initially 0. Now, let us write down a while loop while I less than n. What you have to do? We have to compute the first sum, left to right sum, which is nothing but matrix of ith row and ith column. Ith row and ith column. So, initially I value is equal to 0. So, the value at 0th row, 0th column, that is the first value. Okay. Next time I becomes 1. So, it is the 1, 1. So, matrix of first row, first column. Next time I becomes 2. Then it is second row, second column. So, left to right diagonal sum will be computed. So, we'll just write sum 1 is equal to sum 1 plus matrix of I. Similarly, how to compute the diagonal sum of right to left? So, for that reason, we'll write down sum 2 is equal to sum 2 plus matrix of ith row, but the column is n minus I minus 1. Now, first time I become 0. So, 0th row and column should be 2. So, n is 3. Suppose n is 3 dimensional matrix. So, 3 minus 0 minus 1, which is nothing but 2. So, 0th row, second column. So, that is the last value of that is 3 you will get. Similarly, when I becomes 1, first row, first column you will get. Then I becomes 2, it is second row, 0th column you will get. So, right to left diagonal sum also you can compute like this. So, every time I has to be incremented. So, I plus is equal to 1. So, this for loop is going to run n times and it is going to give you the left to right diagonal sum and right to left diagonal sum. Okay. after computation of the diagonal sums, then we have to find out the absolute difference. So we can directly write down print absolute difference is nothing but the built-in ABS function we are going to use, and we'll write down simply sum1 minus sum2. Okay, so our program writing is completed. Let us check it whether it is working or not. So save the program first. So let us give the program name as absolute difference of diagonal sum. Right. Now let us execute the program. So it is asking me first what is the dimension of the matrix. Suppose I am giving it is a 3 by 3 matrix, 3 dimension. So let us enter the value. So first row value is 1, 2, 3. Second row value is suppose 4, 5, 6. And the third row value is suppose 9, 8 and 9. Okay. Now you can see that the absolute difference we got it as 2. So this is the way you can check it out. Now, so copy the output and let us paste it in our program. So if you want, you can run another test case also. So let us go for another test case. Suppose it is a 3 by 3 matrix. Let us take 3, 4, 5 in the first row, 6, 3, 2 and the third row is 7, 8 and 1. So the absolute difference is 8. So like this, you can run different test cases and check it out. So here you can see that 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 1 7 is the left to right diagonal sum, and right to left it is 15. 7 plus 3 plus 5. So it is 15. So 7 minus 15 is 8. So this is correct. So now we have completed this program, that how to find out the absolute difference. Let us move on to the next question. Now, in the next question, we will go for like reading an integer and convert this into binary. Read an integer, convert this into binary and check whether the binary number is palindrome or not. Question is very simple, that you have to read one integer, you have to convert that number into binary, and then we will check whether the binary number is a palindrome number or not. Okay. Now, first of all, let us read a number. So, to read a number, let us write n is a number, n is equal to int of input of enter a number. After reading the number, we have to convert this number into binary. So, let us write down how to convert this into binary. So, there is a built-in bin function is there which will convert an integer into binary. So, I am directly converting this number into binary. Okay, let us save it. Integer to binary program. Okay, and then palindrome checking anyway. So, let us print up to this. Suppose my number is 9. So, you can see that the equivalent binary number is 0B1001. 1001 is the equivalent binary number, but there is a prefix of 0B to indicate that it is a binary number. So, whenever you are doing palindrome checking, we have to be careful that this 0B has to be removed. Okay. So, what we will do, instead of printing this number, what we will do, we will store this number into another variable by stripping off the 0B, that is the leading prefix we want to stripe it off. So, what we will write? So, I will write down bin of n. It will convert into binary, no doubt. Then after that, I will use slicing. So, I will write 2 colon. That means from second character onwards, it will go to the end, it will strip it off, it will slice it and then store it to S. Okay. Now, that means your equivalent binary number for 9, if the number is 9, then 1001, I am storing it into S. Now, after that, we will find out the reverse of the number. So, reverse of the number, we will go for the easiest method, that using the slicing mechanism, indexing mechanism. So double colon -1 will give the reverse of the number. This is called reverse of the number it will give you. Okay. Now let us write a simple if condition, that if S is equal to R, okay, then we have to print that it is palindrome. If the number is same as its reverse, then print S is palindrome. Otherwise, print S is not palindrome. So we'll write down the else part and we'll write print S is not palindrome. Okay. So this is the simplest logic for reading a number, convert into binary, and then finding the reverse of the binary number, then checking the binary number with its reverse to check whether it is palindrome or not. So let us save this and run this program. Suppose my number is 9. So the equivalent is 1001 and it is a palindrome number. Whether you read from left to right or right to left, you will get the same answer. So let us copy this output and then try with a different test case. Now rerun. Suppose I am taking my number is 12. So 12 is your 1100. It is the binary equivalent. 1100, if you reverse it, it is 0011. So it is not palindrome. So left to right and right to left, if you read the number, it is different. It is not same. So this number is not palindrome. So this way, 2-3 test cases you can try and check whether the program is working or not. Okay. Now, after this, let us go for printing. Excuse me. Okay. Next, we will go for doing a number of pattern programs. So, suppose the question is print the pattern, print the following pattern. So, let us consider a simplest pattern. Suppose it is IARE, then followed by it should print ARE, then it should print RE and then E. So, this is a pattern. Now, let us put this in the question into comment line. So, print this following pattern. So, how to write the pattern programs? So, to print the any string into the triangular pattern form, so let us first see that let us first read a string first. So, let us write n is equal to input of enter a name which you want to use in the pattern. So, read a string first. Okay. So, for I in range of how many times it should show you by dividing the string. So, it depends on the length of this string. So, length of the name, that many times my loop should run. So, length of name, suppose the string is IARE, length of this string is 4. So, it is same as range of 4. Okay, range of length of n is 4. So, range of 4. That means this loop is going to run 4 times for I value 0, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, now what I am going to print? I am going to first print the string from I to the end. I to the end. So, first time I value is 0. So, n of the string, n of 0 to end, that means it will print the complete string. When I becomes 1, then it will print the string from first character. So, it becomes ARE. When I becomes 2, it will print the string from second character. So, RE. When I becomes 3, it will print only the last character, that is E. So, this is the simplest 2-line logic to print this following pattern. So, let us save it as pattern program 1 and run this program. So, suppose my string is welcome. So, you can see that it is printing first the complete string, then one character it is advancing. So, this way you can do this pattern program. Now, after completion of this, let us do the reverse of this pattern. So, let us go for the next program. Print the following pattern. So, our pattern is this time like this. Suppose if it is IARE string, so first I, then IA, then IAR, then followed by IARE. Let us do this pattern. So, for this pattern also, let us read a string first. So, let us read a name. N is equal to input of enter a name. Enter a name. So, after reading a name, I will run my loop. How many times? Till the length of the name. So, for I in range of length of my name plus 1. Okay. So, I will write like this and then print n from 0 to I, because the ending is I. So, if you do not write length of n plus 1, then the last character will not come. That is the reason we are writing length of n plus 1. So, if you want, you can remove here plus 1 and you can check it out. Okay. Now, let us save this as second pattern problem and run it. Suppose my string is IARE. So, you can see here, first I, then IA, IAR and IARE is getting printed like this. Now, paste the output. So, this is the simplest second pattern problem. Now, let us move on to the next program. Next program is to read two numbers and check whether they are amicable numbers or not. Amicable or friendly numbers or not. Now, what do you mean by amicable or friendly numbers? Two numbers are said to be amicable numbers or friendly numbers if the sum of the factors of one number becomes the other number and the sum of the factors of the other number becomes the first number. That means if x and y are two numbers, then what you can write? We can write the sum of factors of x if it is becoming y and the sum of factors of y is same as x, then it is said to be amicable numbers. So, x and y are said to be friendly number or amicable numbers. So, for doing this program, first of all, our input is to read two numbers. So, let us write down a message, print, enter two numbers. Then, let us read the two numbers in a single line. X comma y is equal to map of int comma input method dot split method. This is the simplest way to read two numbers in a single line. So, we are entering two numbers. Both the numbers are treated to be string. Then it is splitted. Each one is divided into individual strings. Then it is converted into integer. Then it is mapped into x and y. Now, after reading these two numbers, we have to find out the sum of x. So, initially it is 0 and we have to find out sum of factors of y, which is also initially 0. So, after initializing the sum variables, let us find out the factors of the first number and add it up. So, for that reason, let us take a loop for I in range of 1 to x. So, 1 is the factor for every number. So, let us start running the loop from 1, not from 0. So, you know that the maximum factor of a number will be always if it is an even number, it will be exactly equal to n by 2. If it is an odd number, then it will be less than n by 2. okay, or less than the number. So here what we will do, we can run our loop from 1 to x, but half of the CPU cycles are simply wasted because the maximum factor will be always the number by 2. So what we will do, we will run the loop from 1 to x by 2 plus 1. Then how to check that the number is factor or not? So if the number is divisible, so if x is divisible by I, then I is said to be a factor. So if it is double equals to 0, then I is a factor. So what we will do? We will add it to the sum variable sum underscore x plus is equal to I. So individual factors we can go on adding. Now the same process we will do it for the other number. So for doing this, let us write down the another for loop for j in range of 1 to y by 2 plus 1. Then check the number from starting from 1. You check the number which are divisible. So y modulus j. If it is equal to 0, that means j is a factor. So we will add it up to the sum underscore y plus is equal to j. So by writing these two for loops, we are finding the factors which are in the first for loop. The I is the factor we are checking. For I value 1, 2, 3, we are checking up to the number divided by 2, half of the number we are checking. Similarly, in the second for loop, j is the factor and all the factors we are summing it up. Now, once the sum is ready, then what you have to do? Then we have to compare. Then we will write down a simple if condition. If sum underscore x is same as y and the sum underscore y is same as x. If this condition is true, then the given numbers are amicable. So we'll write down a print statement. Print the given numbers are amicable. Amicable numbers. Else we'll write down print given numbers are not amicable. So let us save this program and test it. So Control S. So the program is amicable numbers. Now run this program. Enter two numbers. Suppose 6 and 6 if I am entering, then these two numbers are amicable numbers because the factors of 6 is 1, 2 and 3. 1 plus 2 plus 3 becomes 6 and it is the other number. So this is amicable number. So let us go for another test case. Let us save the output here. Similarly, you can try for the number 28 and 28. So 28 and 28 are also amicable numbers. Let us go for another test case. Suppose the numbers are 220 and 284. These two numbers are also amicable numbers. Now, let us run another test case where I am taking two numbers 120 and 130. Then these two numbers are not amicable numbers. So like that, 4-5 test cases you can check it out and print the output. So this is the program for checking whether the numbers are amicable numbers or not. Now let us move on to the next question. Next question is to read a number and print it in words. Now, suppose my number is 123, then my output should come I want my output as 1, 2, 3. For any number, it should work. Whether the number is any digit number, 3 digit, 5 digit, 10 digit, any digit number, whatever is the number, its equivalent word should be printed. Now, how to do it in the simplest manner? So, first of all, let us create a list. And we'll create a list of strings. So in that, what we are going to store? We will store the word equivalent of the numbers. So we'll write 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So we have in decimal number system, we have 0 to 9, 10 numbers we have stored it into a list. That means this is called okay. Now let us print this list first. Print LST. So save it. Word equivalent of a number. So there is a string literal missing over here. Let us check it out. Where is the problem? Okay. Let us rectify. 0, only 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, 8, and 9. Okay, in this program, let us understand how to read a number and print it in words. So for that reason, suppose the number is 123, 123, then my output should come as 1, 2, 3. That means the equivalent of each number should come in words. So for that reason, let us do it. First, let us take a list of words. So that means list of strings. So we have 0 to 9, 10 numbers in the decimal number system. So let us write the list of strings. And if you will print it, you can see here that these are the list of strings we have printed. Now how to display the equivalent words of each digit? So for that, first of all, read a number for which you want to find out. So n is equal to int of input of enter a number. Read a number. After reading the number, so for each individual character of the number, so let us not convert this number into integer. Let us just take it as a string. So that we can iterate over the sequence. So for I in number, here number is a string, so the loop can iterate over the number. So for I in n, so what we are trying to do? So print list of int of I. So first time I is equal to 0. Sorry, first time I, suppose the number is 123, first time I is the string 1. So that it will convert into integer, and then it will find out the index number 1, which word is there, that is only 1 is there. So it will display that. So if you want, you can give a space over here. So this is the simplest logic, that for each number in the sequence, suppose here n is 123, suppose. So first time I becomes the string 1. This string 1 is converted into integer over here. Then LST at 1 index number 1. So in the list at index number 1, ONE1 is there, that will be displayed. Second time, I becomes 2, which is nothing but the string 2. Third time, it is string 3. So these strings are converted into integer and that is used as an index to the list. Okay, now let us save this and run this program. So this is the list of words we have written already. So take any number so that it is finding the equivalent of each digit in words it is displaying. So let us paste this output. So this is the simplest program how to read a number and print it into words. Now let us go for this next program that print the following pattern. Again we will go for a pattern program. Now the pattern is suppose 1, then 1, then 2, then 1, 2 and 3, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. This pattern we have to print. So in most of the pattern programs we have to use loop within loop. Now before writing the logic of the pattern program, let us first read the value that how many rows you want in the pattern. So let us take R is the number of rows. Let us read it first. Ask the user that how many rows you want. So enter number of rows in the pattern. After reading the number of rows, let us try to display how many rows. So we will write loop within loop, where the outer loop will run for number of rows and the inner loop it will go for number of columns, where we will see that what we want to print. So outer loop is for number of rows. So for I in range of, it is from 0 to number of rows, that is 0 to R. Okay. Now what we want to display? We want to display 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So let us take a number n is equal to 1. So for j in range of 0 to I plus 1. 0 to I plus 1. Now what you want to print? We want to print the number, and if you want to give a space, and then this number should be incremented. After incrementing the number, okay, so one row is over, then write a carriage return here. So backslash R. So it will take the cursor again to the beginning of the loop. Okay, so this is the pattern program. So let us go for saving this program and run it. Enter the number of rows in the pattern. Suppose 4 rows I want. So you can see here n is equal to 1. Second time n again restarts from 1. So 1 and 2. Inner loop is running 2 times. Third time n is running again, n starts from 1 and the inner loop is running 3 times. So it will print 1, 2 and 3. Fourth time n is again 1 and the inner loop is running 4 times. So here the inner loop is running how many times, based on that the value of n is displayed, and the outer loop is running for the number of rows. Okay, so this is the simplest pattern program. Let us do it. Okay, now after completion of this, let us go for another pattern problem. So let us, before going for this another problem, let us save this and copy this program. So open one new file and copy the same pattern program. Here I want to change the pattern as, instead of going for 1, 1, 2, 1, I will go for 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6, then 7, 8, 9, okay, 10, like this, okay, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and so on. So if you want to print this type of pattern, then what you have to do? So the common logic is, first of all, you have to enter number of rows in the pattern. Yes, we are reading into the variable n. Now you can observe over here, in the previous program, every time the number used to start from 1. But in this case, the number we will continue from the previous one. So initially number is 1, but second time we will not reinitialize to 1. We will use the previous number, that is n is equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, so on. So we'll do a small change, that n is equal to 1, what we wrote over here, we will remove it and we will keep it outside the loop. So initially n is equal to 1 and the outer loop is for number of rows, inner loop is for number of times it has to print. But every time it is printing the value of n is then incremented. First time n is equal to 1, so it prints 1. Then n becomes 2. Then it goes to the outer loop again. And this way it runs. Let us check the output, how it is working. Suppose I want 5 rows. So you can see that the n value is not reinitialized, but it is continuing from the previous value. So 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and so on. So this way this pattern program works. So by doing a small change to the previous program, we can see that our output has come. So while doing the pattern programs, you have to understand the logic, what we want to print and how the pattern should look like. Okay, now after doing this program, let us go for printing another pattern. So the question is, print the following pattern. Now this time my pattern is not numbers, it is alphabet. So it is A, then AB, then A, B, C, A, B, C and D. Like that, you can take any number of rows, this kind of pattern it should print. Okay. Now as usual, we will ask the user how many rows you want to print by, and we will store it into a variable. So int of input of enter number of rows. Right. After that, here instead of printing the numbers, we have to print its equivalent characters. So to print the equivalent characters in Python, there is a built-in function called CHR. If to the CHR function, if you will give an ASCII number, equivalent number, it will give you the, suppose if I am giving 65, then it will give me the equivalent character as capital A. So let us try this. So for I in range of 0 to R. Now let us take, as we wants to print from A, so the equivalent ASCII value for character A is 65. So let us take n is equal to 65. For j in range of 0 to I plus 1. Right? The same logic we are writing, but here instead of printing the numbers, we are printing its equivalent characters. So let us write down print of CHR of n. That means we don't want to print n value as 65, we want to print A. So CHR of 65 will give you character A. Okay. So we will print it, and if you want, n is equal to space. Right. After that, let us go for incrementing the n value. So n plus is equal to 1. And we will write down the carriage return symbol. So backslash R to move our cursor to the next lines. So let us save this program and run over it. So enter number of rows. Suppose 5 rows I want. So first time the equivalent of 65 is A. Next it is increment to n value increment to 66. But again in the loop it is reinitialized to 65 only. Inner loop works for 2 times. So 65 is equivalent A, 66 equivalent A, B will be printed. Third time n is again reinitialized to 65. But the inner loop is running 3 times. So 65 is equivalent A, B, C. It is printing. Like that this program works. So this is another pattern problem. Now after doing, you can do a number of pattern problems of different types, from left to right, right to left, your patterns which is in the triangular forms and so on. Different types of triangular form patterns are there. Now, after this, let us go for a simple problem of leap year checking using the calendar module. So, we'll go for leap year checking. We have to read one particular year and check that it is leap year or not, but using the built-in calendar module. Now, how to use the calendar module? So here, the simple is, first of all, you have to import the calendar module. So we'll import the calendar module. Then read a particular year. Suppose year is equal to int of input of, read a, enter one year which you want to check. So after reading your input, let us check whether it is leap year or not. So let us take a variable leap year is equal to, in the calendar module, there is a built-in function called isLeap. This isLeap will take one argument, that is the year, and this isLeap function is going to return true or false. If that particular year is a leap year, then it is going to return true, otherwise it is going to return false. Okay. After that, let us check it. If leap underscore year is true, then let us print the year is a leap year, else it is not a leap year. Else print it is not a leap year. So it's a variable. So let us write year is not a leap year. Right. So this is the leap year checking program using the calendar module in Python. So each leap is a built-in function which will check whether the year is a leap year or not, and it will return true or false. So based on the true or false value, we can write a if condition and display whether it is a leap year or not. So let us run this. Suppose I am giving a century year. Suppose 2000 is the century year and 2000 is a leap year. So this is one of the test case. So print this, save this output. Now let us check it with the current year 2022. It is not a leap year. Okay. So this is the second test case. Similarly, if you can go for another test case, 2010 is not a leap year. So you can go for a number of test cases for checking whether it is a leap year or not. So this is the built-in calendar module and we are using the isLeap function. If you do not want to use the built-in calendar module, you can go for dividing the number by 400 or 4 to check whether it is a century year or not. That is the traditional way of checking whether a year is leap year or not. Thank you. In this video, we have learned a number of programs using Python, using the various data types. Thank you so much.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.